So, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the very first All Day Tools webinar. My name is Ildikó Csősz, and I'm head of business at Valoro Consulting in Hungary. We are one of the partners of All Day Tools, and it's a pleasure to be hosting this session. And now I'd like to hand things over to Gábor Nagy, founder and managing director of All Day Tools, who most of you perhaps already know quite well. So, over to you, Gábor.
Thank you very much, Ildikó, for the welcome and also for volunteering to be the host and sponsoring these webinars with the Zoom account. And welcome everybody who is here and also the people who are watching this recording. Probably many potential clients will see this also in the future. And that's why, because I think most of you here already fairly know TradeMap fairly well, but I will start with a brief introduction of TradeMap. I'm going to share my screen. TradeMap brief
Yes.
introduction. Okay, cool. So just a very short one. If you are evaluating any kind of personality assessment, these are the few aspects that you need to consider. What is the model behind this personality assessment? What does it measure? How does it measure? What kind of questionnaire or method does it use? And what kind of reports does it generate? So how can we use the results? And trait map is the model is a trait model, has 25 traits along the big five. It is compatible with the big five. And it has a very unique and efficient forced choice questionnaire with combinatorial optimization, lots of mathematics behind. It is a cutting edge, very advanced format. And it provides intuitive reports for recruitment, learning, and development. A little bit more details. So, why the big five is significant and the trait approach is significant, because there was a scientific development of personality models and assessments, and trait map is one of the new generation, the latest generation. So after the 2000s, it was developed. The trait map is, if you are familiar with Big Five, you will recognize many things, but you will also see some differences because we applied it to the world of business. These are the 25 traits that trait map measures. Today we are going to work with a few a little bit deeper. The questionnaire looks like this. You need to rank items based on how well they describe you, how true they are for you, how valid they are for you. And this has advantages because there are really no right and wrong answers. So faking is difficult. It partly bypasses your conscious decisions. So many things happen on that questionnaire. And it cuts through the behavior layer and it maps the deeper enduring personal layers, those things that have an impact at work. We provide analysis for evaluating the validity and the response patterns. And about the reports, we provide a competency match report, which can provide your profile with an ideal profile for a certain role. It can provide work attributes which shows what are the competencies that are more natural to you, which are the ones that you need to make more effort, you need more skills and so on. And it provides also reports for development, for team building workshops, for leadership development, for a range of trainings. I just show you them briefly, and if you have more interest, then welcome to contact us. So this was a brief introduction of Trait Map, and with that, I'd like to give it back to Ildiko.
Typical mistake. Yeah, I was muted. So, our next speaker is Rose, who is going to present us some practical uses of trademark from her experience. Am I right, Rose? It's over to you.
Hi, happy 2026. Happy New Year, everybody. Now it's January, okay? This is Rose calling from Malaysia, okay? I know everybody enjoying snow, but this is super hot from Malaysia, okay? So let me firstly share my screen. Okay. How can I lay out over this background? Contact, okay. How can I make sure that I don't see your faces? Can you see your faces?
Yes, I can
Because
see. Yeah, I think we will be able to see the faces as well.
yeah,
Looks
how
good.
can I hide all these faces? Oh, okay. Now I can.
Okay.
Sorry. So I need to start from here. Okay. So good day. This is representing Tic-Tac-Toe Consulting. Okay. So this is how normally we advise or consult our client to use the psychometrics products in the hiring process. Today, I'm going to target only in recruitment. How do we use, okay, the psychometric product in our recruitment process? Okay, basically there are the big 5 reasons why should we use and how can we use it wisely. Okay, since we already spent. Okay, so firstly, we are going to use it for job profiling. Okay, I will go into slightly detail later. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask later. Okay, so then second reason is for talent shortlisting. Okay, or we use it for comparison. Okay, then because we already spent, okay, so we will encourage all the recruiters, headhunters, or hiring managers to continue using the report, okay, to enrich the interview process. Okay, and then further, we also encourage people, okay, to use the report that you have generated, okay, to give it to your candidates or the talent. Okay, if you are using it for job promotions, of course, you should give the report to your current talents. If you are applying to external candidates, okay, for recruitment process, okay, we encourage you to actually use the report, hand to the external candidates, okay, to actually polish your employer branding. Yeah. And then lastly, okay, not to waste the report on hand, okay, we will also encourage the HR, okay, to generate the report, hand to the talent or the new candidate or newbie in the business and the hiring manager to continue using the psychometrics report, okay, for their post-hiring development. Okay, because we know what is the strength and the weaknesses. We want the hiring manager to help the talent, okay, when we are developing them, we want to shape them in the new business, right? So we will use the report for the talents to continue grow, okay, in their probation period. Okay, so next, okay, this is the first part that we'd like to introduce, okay, how do we consult the clients to use it for job profiling? Okay, there are a lot of information in the trip map reports, yeah, but before you open up, you should have a job profiling concept. You will know what is important, okay, for the role to be successful. So before you open up the report, you should have some idea what traits you are focusing on. Yeah, then you will know how to digest the report. You will have a very clear objective, okay, to refer to your trade map report. Okay, so I have some example here. Okay, you will see I have sales role. Okay, I have customer service role, engineering, and COO. These are some examples, the traits that we use, okay, to apply as a success formulas in recruitment process or talent comparisons. Yeah. Then further, okay, we then use the job profiling criteria or the traits that we selected, okay, then we apply into our talent comparisons. Okay, there's one plus point, okay, a good highlight in TripMap. Okay, they offer a job match report, okay, which Gabo will introduce further. Okay, what is this report about? Okay, this is actually a sub report or a bonus report come after TripMap. Okay, it offers us, okay, short list or summarize the traits that is shortlisted according to your job profiling. Okay, and then giving you the match, okay, versus the expectation, the hiring manager expectation. Then you can, if you have a few candidates, example for what I'm showing here, we have 3 candidates. So we are allowed to understand, to know, okay, where are they? How far are they compared to the expectation of our hiring managers? Okay, then you will get a leaderboard score here, okay, for you to have a reference who is actually closer to match the hiring manager expectation. Okay, then, okay, as I mentioned, since we already use it for the beginning, okay, we should continue using the report, okay, in the interview process. Okay, so the TripMap report should be serving as another CV or another certifications, okay, for us to actually probe more informations, okay, which giving us more measurable standardized data. Okay, so we use the assessment result to develop targeted interview methodology. Could be competency-based interview, behavioral-based interview, or even situational-based, according to your job profiling method just now, right? Because you will have some concerns about, you know, their detailed concerns. What about example, how open they are, you know, to the new situations, new projects, example. So after you refer to the TripMap report, you will have more idea what to ask in your interview process. Okay, so it helps us to enrich the interview process. Okay, and a very good reference here, okay, TripMap will also give us another document for those new people, new user, okay, when they are new using TripMap, they might not know what questions they can raise after they read the TripMap report. So OD tools provide interview guide, okay, which can supplement your TripMap results. Okay, so according to the results of your candidates or your talent, okay, you may then refer to your interview guide, okay, pick up questions that related to your success formula. Okay, so this is very interesting and very useful for new users. Yeah, and then the next one, okay, normally we will ask, we'll consult our client to continue using the report you have on hand. Just like when we are going for shopping, right? When you're going for grocery shopping, okay? The shopping mall will provide you goodie bags, recycle bags, right? It's for branding purpose, for you to bring it around, you know, like free advertisement. So same as OD tools, okay? Since we already paid, okay, we will encourage our client, okay, our HR, okay, to actually distribute the TripMap report, okay, to both the selected candidates, which will be on board later into the company, and to the non-shortlisted candidates, because we want to give it to them, okay, like a token of appreciation for them to spend time coming for the first interview, second interview, third interview, right? So we thank them for their effort, for their time, okay, attending your interviews, even though they are not shortlisted, okay, becoming your employees. Yeah. And this report will also help them for their future growth. Okay. And one good thing here, okay, for OD tools, we are allowed to customize. Okay, we are allowed to customize the report. Okay, especially the first page of the report. Okay, just like what we did. Okay, you see the example. I actually make it a Twin Tower of Malaysia. Yeah, we have Twin Tower in Kuala Lumpur. So I make it as my first page. Yeah, as for our employer branding. Okay. So development guide. Okay, this is for the last one. Okay, so I normally like to encourage my client to provide this report, which is the whole trip map report, okay, to the hiring managers and the talent, okay, because I want the hiring manager to pay attention to the development part. Okay, in the trip map, the last part of the report is about development suggestions. Okay, so this is very important for our hiring manager to put in mind, okay, what is the strength and what could be the potential derailer, okay, for them to watch out for their newbies that newly join the team. Okay, and then we also provide, okay, some suggestions for development, okay, in the last part of the trip map. Okay, this is also useful for the talent. Okay, for the talent that you have recruited in their probation. Okay, so these are some tips, okay, for them to actually help them to actually understand why should they be adjusting their behavior. Yeah, and then giving them some tips how to start moving, okay, for their own adjustment. Okay, so this is the first part of my sharing. Okay, so the second part I would like to share, okay, how normally I use trip map for the talent selections and comparisons. Okay, when I talk about talent comparison, it doesn't only stick to recruitment process. It can also use for succession planning, example, and job promotions, right? So this is how we normally use it, okay, to select a concept that we want to understand who is the best candidate for the role. Okay, so from the beginning, okay, we shared it, we use the trip map for job profiling. Okay, then we use it for comparison. Okay, and then we also use it for interview process. Okay, so all these 3 steps is for us to validate who is the best candidate. Okay, so very importantly, we want to know, is the person fit to the job role? So that is why we have a ruler we set as what we call that as job formula. Yeah, job success formula for us to understand whether the person fit for the role, which matching the expectation of the hiring manager. And secondly, it's very important for us to also understand organization fit, or we like to call it cultural fit. Yeah, so it has to come as both to be completed. Yeah, so it has to be job fit and organization fit, because according to the research, okay, a lot of good candidates, they can do the job very well, okay, but at last they leave the companies. Why? Because they are struggling for the cultural fit problem. Okay, so how we use trip map to apply in job fit and organization fit. Okay, now I'm sharing about job fit. Okay, in trip map, there's 2 reports that we can apply, okay, in job fit. Okay, for the job fit, okay, either you want to use the first part of the trip map report, okay, normally to be simple, because in TripMap there are many sections that you can apply to your initiative, to your project. But to be simple, I want to save the time of my recruiters or my headhunters. Normally, I will only ask them to refer to personality profile. Okay, so this personality profile will have all 25 traits, okay, for us to basically understand a person. Okay, we call it the fundamental human behavior. Okay, so in this 25, you will roughly know a person. Yeah, so or to someone which is more advanced, someone who is more advanced using TripMap, okay, we can use competency map, which is what I mentioned. You can use this report, okay, as a sub-report under TripMap, okay, for you to summarize, okay, to have a quick look who is closer matching to the expectation of your hiring manager. So both, you can either use personality profile or you can use competency map. Okay, both applicable and both is concluded in your TripMap report. And then I will then also encourage my clients, okay, to use narrative. Okay, they can look at narrative for more information. Okay, so big five personality profile, as I shown earlier. Okay, there are many other parts which is very useful for us to understand job fit of the individual. Okay, so you can refer to work attributes. Okay, collaborations, presentations, negotiation skills. Okay, and sales competencies. If you are recruiting sales representative, you can refer to the sales competencies. Okay, and lastly, okay, for us to understand the strength and weaknesses, we can refer to the area explorer. Okay, development area explorer. So all this report gives us very sufficient information for us to understand the individual. Okay, whether the person fit or not fit to the job role, which matching to the hiring manager expectation. Different industry, different companies, different countries, of course, will have different success formula according to the culture. Yeah, so it's very important to have all this information on hand, and also for us to validate, yeah, what you have on hand, because this is serve as additional information next to the CV, next to your certificates provided by the candidates. Yeah, so you can continue to probe or enrich your interview dialogues. Okay, so I normally like to actually portray this picture for all my clients. I want to make sure everybody understand, okay, in the world, okay, rats and cats, they are not living in the same world. If you put a cat into a rats group, okay, either all the rats is being chased off or being eaten, yeah, or if you put a rat into a cat's group, the rats will be eaten. Right? So cultural fit is something very important for everybody, for all the headhunters and recruiters to put in mind, okay, for us to make sure, okay, we did cultural fit check before we offer the candidate or the talent for the job promotions. Okay, so how do we apply TripMap for organization fit? Okay, there's three very important piece of info, okay, that we want our client to pay attention. Okay, so the first part of the info, okay, we call it team role report. Okay, for this team role report, is very important for the hiring manager to understand what is your candidate prefer to work as. Okay, we believe, okay, if you prefer to work in something, okay, you will be improved, okay, day to day, and we believe the performance will be better than others. This is about team role report. Okay. Secondly, we also want people to understand conflict style. Okay, conflict style is important for us to understand, okay, because according to research, there are a lot of people, employees resign because they cannot cope with the conflicts or the politics in the office. Okay, so we have to briefly get some information about what is the conflict style tendency of the candidates or the talent before we put them into a team or a group or into a company. Yeah, just like the cat and rat story. If you are forcing candidates into accommodating groups, that will be fine, because forcing and accommodating, they can gel together. But what if forcing and everybody is forcing, right? Then in the meeting, when they are facing conflict, everybody will be burning, fighting in the meeting, and the meeting could be dragging, example, right? So we will need to firstly understand everybody conflict style, make sure they are all harmony, can work together, and people feel not so stressed when they are having, argument, confrontations. Yeah. So for us to understand how healthy a person can fit into the culture of the organizations, okay, so conflict style tendency is a very good report as a reference. Okay. Lastly, leadership style. Okay. Example, if I have 3 senior executives that I'm planning to promote them as a manager to monitor a team. Okay. I also need to firstly understand the team requirement. Okay. Is it a good manager, a fit style for the manager to put in the team, right? So if let's say the team is all autopilot, they are all matured, okay, then yes, democratic could be a good manager, okay, to put into the team. But in some company, example like call centers, yeah, for those company, say event planning company, when everybody is a bit new, when they lack of experience, they do not have directions, okay, probably you put persons that having autocratic leadership style, okay, could be a good manager to monitor or to manage the team, okay, to make sure the handhold all the people, okay, go to the right directions, okay, and on time, and complete the KPI, example. So doesn't mean autocratic is bad, democratic is good, but always go back to the culture fit, okay? So if let's say the company needs autocratic, then we hire autocratic. Okay. If let's say the company or the team needs democratic, then we hire the democratic manager style, leadership style manager, right? So these 3 reports are very important for us to have a checking, okay? Make sure that we put a right candidate into the team or into the company, okay? So this is the last part of my presentation, okay? Just a 2 minutes quick demo, okay? So this is how I encourage or teach my clients how to use their trip map report, okay? So I encourage my HR or the headhunters to present the trip map in this way, okay? So the first part, personal highlights. There's a part of the report in trip map that you can cut this diagram, okay, this visual for a quick comparison. If I have a candidate A or candidate B, okay, this is for us to quickly understand, okay, who is fit to the role. Okay, example, if I'm hiring a sales manager now, okay, who is better to fit to my expectation, which I expect this person will perform better in my company, okay, serving the hiring manager. So this is a quick view for us to understand whether they are fit or not fit, okay. Second, okay, is work preferences. Okay, so work preferences, this report actually come from the Big 5 concept, as what Gabo shared early of the presentation. Okay, so this 25 traits, okay, cover social behaviors, professional focus, emotional aspects, and openness. Okay, so this also gives us information, enough information for us to have a gauge, okay, who fit to the role, who fits better to the role. Okay. And then when we come into the cultural fit section, okay, when you have a candidate A, candidate B, you can quickly look into what kind of people you want. Are you looking for a doer? Are you looking for a thinker? Or you are looking for a people person? Yeah, same to every team, right? So you can't have everybody as a doer. Then who will be the strategy thinker? Who are the ambassador or spokesperson, right? So we encourage to have a dynamic of the team. Best to have all different roles in a team, right? For the best performance for the team, right? Then the next one, okay, when we compare conflict style tendency, okay, we want to know who to be promoted or who to be shortlisted better when they are handling different vendors, customers, directors, yeah, or inside and outside stakeholders, yeah, who can handle the stakeholders better. Okay, it doesn't mean forcing 10 is bad. It doesn't mean collaborating 10 is bad. It has to then refer to the culture of the industry and the countries, yeah. So you will then have a comparison, very clear comparison for you to understand who fits better to the team. Okay. Lastly, okay, I would like to actually share about leadership style. Okay, this is how we cut the information from the trademark report for a comparison when we talk to the hiring manager, right? So say I have candidate A and candidate B. We have leadership orientation information in the trademark report. So who likes to lead? Okay, some would like to be lone ranger. They do not like to lead people, right? And second piece of information, we talk about autocratic, visionary, democratic. So who fits better to manage the team? Okay, so this is important information. Then lastly, okay, the very last information that is a highlight of trade map. Okay, so trade map offer important information about burnout risk. Okay, so look into the trade map. There's a part for us to understand, will your candidate easy to burn out or not when you recruit or you're promoting the person, right? So this is all of my sharing, okay, for today. So any question? So if no question, I'm going to hand over back to Gabor.
Thank you very much, Rose. So back to you, Gabor.
Thank you. And Ildiko, because the event is until 45 officially, but for people who have questions, can we run a little bit longer?
Sure.
Okay, great. So I want to talk about this success formula in more details, about this competency match report that uh, Rose mentioned. And I want to do that through sharing a real case. Just a moment. I just need to monitor to this presentation. Yeah, so using a real example. And this is a recent example and a job that I think many of us can relate to at Hunter. Um, Ildiko was the consultant who was working with this client. And here is more important the principle. How to create a good success formula. And there are three methods basically. One is you can start with a generic web research or ask the AI, like what would be the good success formula. Of course, you need to explain the AI what is straight up and things like this. And second, You can do qualitative interviews with the client's subject matter experts, people who know the job best, the managers and the best performers. And you need somebody, a consultant who understands TradeMap, or the HR who is trained using TradeMap. And you can also use quantitative method. For the quantitative method, the easiest is if you have the profile of some top performers and some bottom performers, or minimum just the top performers. And so in case of the headhunter asking the AI, this was the recommended profile. Optimism and confidence should be high. Then most of the extroversion traits should be high: persuasiveness, liveliness, networking, work tempo, and also some agreeableness traits were chosen, but actually not the agreeable ones, but rather altruism should be on the lower side, according to AI. Criticalness should be high, and competitiveness, because it's a very competitive field, should be also high. And in focus, drive and dutifulness, and some openness traits. Progressiveness and observation should be high, but abstractedness should be low because it's a more practical kind of job. So this is the AI suggestion, and AI can do also some creative stuff. So I asked to create a kind of analogy, a visual picture for this job, for the ideal candidate, for this success formula. And you can see that networking and work tempo are the engines that push towards success, and persuasiveness or confidence are the traits that are boost your sales. And observation and criticalness are the ones that guide you to find the perfect catch and to avoid hidden reefs. So this is the AI. And let's see how much how similar it is to the other methods. So Ildiko sent me these red flags that were surfaced by the critical incidence technique. So these are behaviors that the bottom performers show. These are the typical ways how people fail. And one is working on insignificant things. Like as an example was decorating the Excel tables, or procrastination, or does not dare to make the critical phone calls, hesitates to influence others, cannot persuade candidates, and doesn't keep focus, doesn't follow through. So actually, if you look at these are pretty much aligned with what the AI said from the other way around, like that was the success and this is how people fail. So far, the overlap is quite good. And there is another one, though, too curious, meddles in other people's business. So that one, the AI didn't catch. And this was the profile that was prepared by the client, subject matter experts, and Ildiko together. So emotional stability, extroversion, all extroversion traits should be high in this. And then agreeableness more in middle score, but competitiveness also higher. And in focus, we see drive and detail concern and deliberation low. And in openness, we have creativity and aesthetic sense low. And let's see now the method 3, the quantitative analysis. And there is an article I will share with you where you see it in more details, this method, how described. But the idea is when you have just a few candidates, which you will have with most clients, how you can do statistical analysis, because statistics usually you need more bigger data sets. So there is a very simple method that you can do quantitative analysis also with few candidates. with few data. So here, the high performance group, we had 5. You can see n equals 5, and low performers, n equals 3. And you only need to calculate the mean, the average value on the trait for the two groups, the standard deviation, which shows are people very different, the deviation is high, or are people similar from this respect, deviation is low, so the results are much more clustering around that average. And then we see here in between the middle the difference of the two groups. Larger is the difference, there is some more significant relationship going on here. And smaller is the deviation, there's also something more systematic. I highlighted with the green wherever the deviation is small or the difference is big, or both. And this is a method that highlights which are the traits that are important from the viewpoint of this quantitative analysis, and where should be the range. The range should be around the midpoint of the high performance, so a little bit lower, a little higher. So with that, I want to overlay the different methods. So the AI was highlighting optimism, confidence, persuasiveness, liveliness, and so on, wherever you see the yellow. And there was also a bit of highlight where the direction was different. So actually, dutifulness, the AI recommended high dutifulness, but in this data set, actually, the high performers, you see, the average is not high. Same with progressiveness. Actually, the low performers are higher in progressiveness. And same with observation. The low performers are high observation. And I think this is a little bit that observation that if the headhunter is too curious, goes too deep into the individual, it might be in certain environments, it might be counterproductive. And then we have the qualitative. So this was prepared by the consultant. And the quantitative approach, again, I'm just putting it to see it easier, the overlay. And you can see that actually there's a lot of overlap in these three. So which one to take? I think you need to see which data is the best. Try to find the overlaps. Use these to challenge your thinking. But then I think it should be at the end a kind of integrative, qualitative approach. So here is the link to the article to which describes this method in more details. And at the end, we selected the qualitative approach. And this is the ideal profile that you find currently in our system. Because in our system, there are some generic, these so-called match profiles or competency maps. And of course, the best is to create your own competency map, because even headhunting, you see in a different culture, a different type of headhunting company, different levels and so on, maybe you will need a little bit different profile. So that was it. And now I'd like to give back to Ildiko, open up to questions.
Thank you, Gabor, for this really interesting presentation. Although I was taking part in this whole process, it was really interesting to see how these models integrate. And yes, and I really like your message that this integrating method or integrative method is really important. So over to you. Ask questions, please. I would have some questions, but that will be some practical things, yeah, how we can fine tune this whole profile, because I think profiling is always really interesting. Perhaps there's a
raising
question.
a hand.
Yes. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce
Yeah,
your name. Can you help me?
it's okay. It's okay. Thank you. Can you hear me? Everybody good?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
This is just a question for Rose, based on her presentation. And Gabor, thank you for your detailed insight as always. I love the comparisons that you've offered. But for Rose, so when we look at the conflict style, leadership style, and team role report of candidate A and candidate B, and we decide upon a candidate, uh, is it a good practice to potentially, before the new candidate arrives, show them the leadership, conflict style, and team role report of the leader that they'll be reporting into?
Normally, we are not showing to the candidate directly, but firstly, we have to actually share to the hiring manager, right? Because the hiring manager will have to firstly, because when they look for replacement or a new role, they definitely know the company culture or what are the team the person will be joining or managing with. So the hiring manager will firstly
Okay.
need to understand the conflict style, the leadership styles, and the team role, right? But because the candidate, for the beginning, they won't hold the report until they have completing the whole recruitment process, until they are being shortlisted, offered, then they will get the report. So unless they want to get a coach to understand themselves better, if not, that report only serves as a post-development after the interview process.
Thank you. I have had strong candidates come through and say, so the person that I'll be reporting into, what is their profile like compared to mine? And what do you think my things are that I need to consider before I start to work better with the manager? And then, so how would you help navigate that?
Yep. Then that is a very unique situation. Normally, talent will not have their own report until everything is being offered,
Okay,
close case.
okay,
If
okay.
the individual come to you, you may want to do a personal coaching using a trip map report for them to actually work better with the new team.
Rose, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Gabor. I've got to shoot to another meeting, so I really appreciate the opportunity that was offered to me today. And Gabor, I'll see you at some other webinars that you're hosting. Thank you, everybody. Good luck.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yeah. If not, then perhaps it's time to close. So thank you all for joining us today on our very first all-day tour webinar. And I think we all really appreciate your time and interest. And I'm looking forward, and I think we are looking forward to continuing these valuable sessions in the future.